Good day everyone, Mr. Cargill here with our next AutoCAD video. Now in this video, we're going to be going through the 2017 Bmed Unit 2 Paper 1 paper. Bmed Unit 2 Paper 1s are hard to find, so I found this one. So we are going to go through this multiple choice question here. Now for the cover page, it is just your basic multiple choice instructions, saying that you should read the instructions carefully, ensure that you shade the answer carefully, and all that. So now let's get straight into the questions. I will be posting a lot of these videos, so if you want to see more, you can subscribe and also like the video if you find it useful. The first question here, items 1 to 3 refer to the following diagram of a beam with forces acting on it. So questions 1 to 3 is related to this beam here. Now it says, what is the value of the reaction RL? So RL is this reaction force right here, over here. And what we know about RL plus RR is that RL plus RR is going to be equal to the value of the forces acting downwards. So the forces acting downwards add up to 15 kilonewtons, which means that RL plus RR is going to be equal to 15 kilonewtons. So with that knowledge now, we can punch that information into a formula to see what we are going to get. It's basically saying that RL plus RR is going to be equal to 15. When we do our calculations here, we're going to end up with RL being 7.5 kilonewtons. Alright? And RL being 7.5 kilonewtons, that basically helps us to get the answer to question 2. Because if both RL plus RR is equal to 15 kilonewtons and RL is equal to 7.5 kilonewtons, that would mean that RR is also equal to 7.5 kilonewtons, because together they will equal 15. 7.5 plus 7.5 equals 15 kilonewtons. And to answer these questions here, 1 and 2, even if you don't know or you didn't know the formula, you could look at it and you could see that, well, if you just understand that both forces equal 15 kilonewtons, there is nothing there that would add up to 15 for A and B except 7.5, because 6.5 plus 7.5 isn't 15, 5.0 plus 15 isn't 15 or anything like that. So it's just 7.5 and 7.5. Good. Number 3 here says, which letter is incorrectly placed when applying Bose notation? Alright. We have A, B, C, D, and E. And for Bose notation, it's a method of notation for forces acting at a point. So in this case, the one that is incorrectly placed would indeed be E. Alright, so the one that is incorrectly placed here would be E. Alright, so we'll continue. For these questions, for a lot of them, I can guarantee you that you will see back some of these questions, because CXC likes to reuse their multiple choice questions, which is why it is so hard to find them. Alright, number 4 here says, which of the following is not a method used to minimize the twisting and the general movement of flooring joist? Alright, so a floor joist is similar to a rafter in a roof. It's just the baseboards that you will use in your floor that you will then apply your finished floor to. And it says, which is not a method used to minimize the twisting and general movement, that would be inline. We could use noggins and we could have them staggered, or we could have them in a herringbone formation, but inline is the method that we wouldn't use here. Number 5 says, the main disadvantage of the spiral staircase is that it has, is it that it has no landing? Is it that it has no strings? Is it that it has tapered threads or a helical handrail? And the answer to this is that it has tapered threads. Tapered threads mean that there is a pole, like a center, for the spiral. And the parts of the thread of the staircase, the thread of the staircase is the part of the staircase that you actually put your foot on when you're walking on the stairs. So the threads are going to be tapered towards the center. So the parts of the threads that are closer to the center will be shorter or smaller than the parts that are further away from the center. So because the threads are tapered, so the answer there would be C. Number 6 says, a force which acts on an object in a direction perpendicular to the object is known as, this is a turning force, a shear stress, or a turning stress. In this case, this would be a shear force. Alright, so here now, we have item 7. For item 7 it says, which of the following is the type of diagram shown above? So we're looking at this diagram above, item 7. Is it a shear force diagram, a bending moments diagram, a link polygon, or a structural beam plan? Well, what we're actually looking at here is a shear force diagram. We have the free body diagram at top, above the shear force diagram, and then below that now we have the shear force diagram. If we were to draw a bending moments diagram, it would be below the shear force diagram here. Alright, so now we move on to question 8. Question 8 says, foundations are placed below ground level to increase a structure's, is it strength, workability, aesthetics, or stability? Now, aesthetics, we can take that right out. You know, it wouldn't be aesthetics. Nobody's seeing the foundation for the most part, depending on the type of foundation actually, but for the most part, you'll not be seeing the foundation. Alright, which means that C is out. For the rest of them, strength and stability is the best two candidates. The reason I would choose stability instead of strength is that stability just means that the building is stable fully. There is no movement of any sort, which is what the foundation does. It spreads the weight evenly throughout the ground, alright, so that the building is stable. So I would choose stability over strength here. You can let me know in the comment section what you think also. For number 9, raft foundations are preferred when the soil beneath the building is it stable, unstable, is solid rock, or retains water. Now if the building is stable, you'd want to use a pile foundation. If the soil, is stable, you'd want to use a regular strip foundation, depending on the soil type. You wouldn't want to use it if it's solid rock either, alright? But you would want to use the piles if it is unstable. If it retains water, you don't need to use piles. You could, but you could just drain the water from the site, the building site, and then there's a number of foundation options you could use. But pile foundations are best to use when a soil type is unstable or has low load bearing capacity. Number 10 here says, when opposing forces acting on a beam are the same, the forces are said to be, is it static, linked, in alignment, or in equilibrium? And the answer is that they would be in equilibrium. And they would be in equilibrium because they would cancel out each other, and that's how you get equilibrium, which is basically 0. So like the first image that we looked at here on this question paper, this beam here would be in equilibrium because the forces acting downwards are cancelled out by the reaction forces acting upwards. Alright, so we'll move on now to number 11. Number 11 here says, which of the following building materials that provide tensile strength to the floor slab is not shown? Is it concrete, steel, blinding, or a damp proof course? So here now we can clearly see that the steel work is missing from this foundation wall here, also missing from this part of the foundation as well, the underfloor. So the part that is missing is the steel, and the steel provides tensile strength to the floor slab as well. Alright, so number 12 now. It says item 12 refers to the following outline of a foundation footing with reinforcing bars on which a concrete column is to be erected. The protruding vertical bars are there starter bars, stirrup binders, or kickers. Here they would be starter bars. The stirrups are what we use to tie them together and so on. So here those would be starter bars. Items 13 to 15 refer to the following sectional diagram of a staircase with 4 members labeled. Okay, so we have 4 members labeled. I to IV, basically 1 to 4. Now it says, which of the following best describes the type of diagram shown? Is it a structural detail section to a straight flight of staircase? Is it a structural detail section through a spiral staircase? Is it a section through a spiral staircase? Or is it a section through a U-shaped staircase? And the simple answer here is that it's a structural detail section through a straight flight staircase. It's a structural detail because we're seeing the structures, the structural members, the steel work and all of that. And we know it's a straight flight staircase because we don't see any turns. So we start here, this is a landing down here, and then there's a landing up here, and it's just a straight flight. There's no turns or anything like that. There's nothing to suggest that it is anything other than a straight flight of stairs. So we move on. Number 14 here says, which of the labeled members distribute the tensile forces imposed on the staircase? Is it 1 and 2 only? Is it 1 and 4 only? Is it 2 and 3 only? Or is it 2 and 4 only? So when we look at this now, we can see that 2 here shows some steel work going across like this. And over here, IV, which is 4, also shows some steel work as well. And we know that steel adds tensile strength to the building. To the structure, I should say. So here the answer would be D. Number 15. The distance labeled 3 is it the riser, the cover, the waist, or the going? This right here. So this is the riser. So the vertical member of one single step is called a riser. So that's what this distance shows. So the answer to that, number 15, is A, riser. Number 16 here says, which of the following is not a property of plastics? Is it flexible, rust-proof, waterproof, or conductivity? The answer here would be conductivity. Plastics are flexible, some plastics. Rust-proof, they are. Waterproof, yes they are. Conductivity, no, they don't conduct heat or electricity very well, so the answer would be conductivity. Number 17 here says, item 17 refers to the following information. A sample of sand is placed in an empty container and water is added. It is then closed, shaken, and left to settle. Which of the following tests have been performed? Is it a silt test, compression test, thermal resistance test, or strength and stress test? In this case, it would be a silt test. And this is a simple test that you can do anywhere you have a bottle, some soil, and water. So you just put some soil in a bottle, add water to it, shake it up, leave it to settle, and then the different layers of soil, you will see the different layers of soil as it settles. So you will see the sand, the clay, and you will also see the silt. So it's a silt test here. Number 18 here says, which of the following is the correct order of the steps to completely finish the surface of a concrete wall? Do you want to render, paint, rough, then cast, rough, cast, render, then paint, paint, rough, cast, and render, or rough, cast, paint, and render? In this case, we would know that A and C would be out because you don't want to render first before you do the rough, and you don't want to paint before you do all of that. So the answer here would be rough, cast, render, and then paint. So the answer is B. Number 19. Which of the following factors should be considered when selecting cementitious materials? Is it cost, quality, compressive strength? Is it just 1 and 2? Is it just 1 and 3? Is it just 2 and 3? Or is it all of them? It would be all of them. When you're thinking about selecting these materials, you need to think about the cost, the quality of the material, and also the compressive strength of the material as well. Alright, good. Item 20 refers to the following diagram of a brick wall. Which type of brick bond is shown in the diagram here? So we have different types of brick bonding, and as the term suggests, bond, it's just how you go about arranging the bricks together, so the bricks are bonded together. We have English bonds, header bonds, stretcher bonds, and Flemish bonds here, but this type of bonding is a stretcher bond. And the reason for bonds is to avoid continuous vertical joints on a wall. What does that mean? So you see the way the bricks are arranged, so you have a vertical joint here, but it doesn't continue here. It's over here, and then here, because if it was to continue up at just one point, the wall would be very weak. So we use these bonds to avoid continuous vertical joints. Alright, number 21 here says, items 21 to 22 refers to the following diagram, which shows the arrangement of the members that make up the framework of a timber floor accommodating an opening. So we have the different parts labeled. So the opening is for a stairwell right here. It says the member labeled V or 5 indicates the wall plate, the concrete wall, the trimmer joist, or the common joist. In this case, joist, as I said before from a previous question, is like the base on which we're going to build our floor, or a finished floor. It's a part of the floor, but it's the baseboards that we use to build our finished floor. So the answer here would be a trimmer joist. So it's a trimmer joist, this one right here, and then we have the trimmed joist attached to it, these ones right here. So this joist, which is labeled 5, is a trimmer joist. And then number 22 says, an example of a trim joist is indicated at, and that would be 4. So as I said, these are trimmed joists, and then this one that they're attached to is the trimmer joist. Alright, item 23. The total horizontal distance of the threads of a staircase is known as the, is it the rise, the going, the riser, or the flight? It would be the going. Sometimes the thread is actually referred to as a going sometimes, but the going is the distance and the thread is the actual thing that you put your feet on. Alright, so now we have number 24. Item 24 says, a flight of steps is to be constructed at the front of a house. Which of the following concrete mixes could be used to get the strongest reinforced concrete? The answer here would be a 1 to 1 to 2, and these refer to ratios. The ratio of cement to fine aggregate and coarse aggregate. And the reason you want to use a 1-1-2 is because it is a very strong mix here. And it says you want the strongest reinforced concrete, and 1-1-2 here would give you that strongest mix and the strongest reinforced concrete. Number 25. In building construction, aggregates are classified based on, is it composition, places found, purpose of mix, or size of particles? And the answer here would be size of particles. So, how do you differentiate between sand and gravel? Sand has a certain size, gravel has a certain size. So it's a size that we use to classify the aggregates. Item 26 says, which of the following tests is conducted to determine the workability of concrete? And what you'd want to do is a concrete slump test. So for the slump test, you'd mix some concrete, you put it in a cone, and then you remove the cone. After you remove the cone, you would see how much the concrete slumps by, and based on what you're trying to achieve, if the slump is okay, then all is well. If not, then you might need to add some more water or some more cement or something to your mix to achieve what you want, your desired outcome. Item 27 refers to the following diagram of Young's modulus of elasticity. Which of the following labels represent breakpoint? Now, even if you have no clue what Young's modulus of elasticity is, if you look at this graph, you can see that this curve here goes up to a point from A to B and then to C, and then it just snaps back down to D. So this is the break point right here at C. That's where it breaks, at C. And you could say, but it goes up to E and then it goes back down. But the thing with E is that it's not like a sharp drop, it's a curve. But for C, it's like a sharp drop. So the break point there is C. Number 28 here. Which are the following types of concrete results when internal stresses have been introduced to the concrete to reduce potential tensile stresses resulting from loads? Is it stressed, tensioned, pre-stressed, or pre-tensioned? In this case, it would be pre-stressed concrete. Alright? Good. So items 29 to 30 refer to the following building materials: steel, concrete, aluminum, and thermosetting plastics. In answering items 29 to 30, match each item with one of the options. Each option may be used once, more than once, or none at all. So item 29 here. Which building material exhibits excellent tensile strength? Steel. Alright, so steel exhibits excellent tensile strength. And we had said this in a few previous questions. Item 30. Which building material exhibits high compressive strength? The answer here would be concrete. Concrete has very high compressive strength. So we move on now to item 31 to 32 here. It says items 31 to 32 refers to the following diagram of an ergonomic control loop. The decision element is labeled I, or 1. The decision element in the ergonomic loop is used to, is it to decide who will do what, consider what will happen next, recognize that the system is stable, establish the amount of adjustment needed. Here it's to consider what will happen next. Good? And it says the purpose of a control loop is to, you want to allow things to be repeated. That's why you can have different systems like your air conditioning units and so that are just continuously running, because there's a control loop and it just continues. You don't need to like be there turning anything. It's manual. It's automatic. Sorry. Alright, so it allows a system to be repeated is what a control loop does. Number 33. Which of the following is not an appropriate internal wall finish? Is it tile, paint, metal cladding, decorative plywood? Here the answer would be metal cladding. You can have tiles inside of your building for like a feature wall or in your bathrooms or just generally. Paint, the most common internal wall finishing material. Decorative plywood could also be used, especially for stuff like maybe like cabins or so on. But for metal cladding, no. That is an external material. Number 34. Which of the following does not represent an activity? Is it site location, invitation to bid, foundation being dug, office area being cleaned? Now it says represent an activity, which should mean something that you can do. An invitation to bid. You can invite to bid and you can also bid. So that's something that you can do. Foundation being dug, that's something that you could also do. Office area being cleaned is also something you can do. But site location is just a thing. It's a noun, not a verb. So here it would be site location. Number 35. With reference to the CPM method of analyzing work activities, which is the critical path method, the term earliest finish of an activity suggests, is it A, less than earliest event time of the following node, greater than earliest event time of the following node, less than or equal to earliest event time of the following node, or greater than or equal to earliest event time of the following node? So here the answer would be less than or equal to earliest event time of the following node. So if you have two things that are happening one after the other, so you have activity A and then activity B. So if those are along the critical path, it would mean that one has to happen before the next. So for B, what that means is that it says less than or equal to the earliest event time of the following node. So when A ends, for B to start would have to be less than or equal to the earliest event time for activity B. Item 36 here says, what is the correct order for the following stages of the design process? Is it problem identification, development of solutions, evaluation, or analysis of problem? So here it would be B, which would be problem identification, because you have to identify the problem first and then analyze the problem, and after analyzing you're going to develop solutions to the problem, and then after that now you evaluate. So the answer there would be B. Number 37. Designing and arranging the components and devices of a building for personal convenience and comfort is best termed, is it ergonomics, aesthetics, rhythm, or unity? It wouldn't be aesthetics, it wouldn't be unity. Ergonomics and rhythm looks like good answers, but the reason we would choose rhythm instead of ergonomics is this. Ergonomics speaks to how we design things for the human body, especially in an office setting, so how we set up the monitors and the chairs and the desks and so on. What rhythm speaks to how you arrange the different devices and elements in a building so that it flows based on personal convenience and so on. So the answer here would be rhythm. Number 38 says, which of the following is the final stage of the design process? Is it synthesis, evaluation, presentation, or analysis and optimization? And the answer is evaluation. I know that some people would probably choose presentation here, but after you present your solutions and so on, you would want to get people's feedback and then evaluate that and see how you can make your solution even better. So the final stage would be evaluation. Item 39 refers to the following construction scheduling network. Which of the statements is incorrect for the network? Is it that events 3 and 4 occur after event 2, events 5 follow event 3, event 7 can occur after event 4, or event 7 precedes event 6? Event 7 precedes event 6. That's incorrect, because we would need to do event 6 first before we can do event 7 over here. So the answer here would be D. Item 40 actually. It says item 40 refers to the following construction scheduling network. What are the concurrent and preceding activities corresponding to activities 2 to 4? So 1 and 2 and 4 and 7, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 2 and 3 and 4 and 7, 1 and 2 and 3 and 6. So when you look at the preceding part, we know that we need to do 1 and 2 before we do anything from 2 to 4. Alright, so the answer here would be B. For item 41, it says a kitchen counter is to be finished so that it is waterproof and easy to clean. Which of the following material is best suited for this task? Is it granite, hardwood, ceramic tile, or painted concrete? The answer here would be granite. So the reason why lots of people want granite countertops is not just because they look good, it's because they're very functional, easy to clean, and they are waterproof. So we would want to use granite countertops here. Number 42. Which of the following is not a purpose of cladding on a building? Providing an aesthetic effect, providing reflective properties, preventing noise from entering, or protection from weather elements. So it is to provide reflective properties. That is not a purpose of cladding. Number 43 here says, which of the following describes studs used in internal partitions? Is it A, intermediate wooden members, B, vertical wooden members, C, upper horizontal wooden members, or D, lower horizontal wooden members? So the answer would be vertical wooden members. So we could say that the studs are to the walls what the joists are to the floor, or what the rafters are to the roof, somewhat. It's the structural members that we then apply our finished members to. Item 44 says, which of the following are considered when designing the layout of a residential kitchen? Flows with adjacent rooms, views and traffic patterns, proximity of kitchen sink and appliances. And I would say it's all of them, because these are all things that we need to consider when you're thinking about designing a residential kitchen. But let me know what you think down below. Item 45. An architect has shown several sketches of a proposed residence to a client for review. Which stage of the design process is this? So this would be the presentation stage. So they are presenting what they did to the client. Alright, good. So that is the end of this paper. Thank you for watching. I do hope you found this video helpful. You can comment down below. Let me know if you have any other answers or so on, if you think anything was wrong, and then we can have that discussion. So thank you for watching and have yourselves a fantastic day.